Okay, guys. So here basically we will discuss about the Java database connectivity. How your Java application we can connect to a database. Correct. So we already discussed that what is the basically how we can connect it and how this JDBC bridge basically works it, right? So high level you can understand at any point of time if you wanted to persist any data, one thing, then you also wanted to maintain the consistency integrity for a data, right? So you need to use that database system. You can also use that as a file system to store the data, maybe text file, Word file, or Excel sheet, correct? But this is not any feasible way when you are doing a CRUD operation, create, add, update, delete, correct? So for any application, if you are running it for any data you wanted to persist, basically you need to use that database system. So we also discussed that there can be a different type of database systems. One is a RDBMS, right? Relational database. There are no SQL databases. No SQL database where there is a no proper table structures are there. There is a no relationship, correct? So like this, then you will store into in the form of JSON, something you can consider as a key value pair, or you can think like a comma separated string key value pair, right? So n number of columns can be, you can have. So non-structured data, semi-structured data, kind of an image, binary files, videos, all these are basically stored, right, in the form of you can use it NoSQL databases. Clear? Like social media, e-commerce applications, and all these where you are not very much required to maintain the transaction and consistency. Clear? So let's say if you are using a RDBMS, so we discussed that database management system. Now, any point of time, you are basically connect to your any application, let's say HDFC Bank. So it is a Java-based application, right? So you hit to a browser, you do some operation. So your server, Java server will basically connect to database server, right? So your Java application running on the particularly on the server here, and then here you will connect to a database server. Clear? So if you add any beneficiaries or maybe you do anything like this. Clear? So like any application, when you are hitting from the browser, you are accessing from the browser to a particularly application, right? So browser is nothing but a client, right? जहां से आप request send करते हो. Clear? तो अभी आपका ultimately behind the scene, you don't know actually how this server is connecting to a database server, right? सो जेडी सर्वर मशीन लाइक दिस एनी एप्लीकेशन क्लाइंट, मतलब ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि एक जावा एप्लीकेशन या कोई दूसरा एप्लीकेशन आपके एप्लीकेशन को कनेक्ट कर रहा है और आपका एप्लीकेशन डेटाबेस सर्वर को कनेक्ट कर रहा है, मतलब ये भी पॉसिबिलिटी है. सो इनिशियली हमने ये भी देखा था कि नॉर्मली अभी 3 टायर एप्लीकेशंस होते हैं, यूआई, रिएक्ट ऐप और एंगुलर ऐप में डेवलप होता है, करेक्ट? देन मिडिलवेयर जो है वो आपका नोड जेएस, डॉट नेट और स्प्रिंग बूट या इसमें डेवलप होगा. और देन there is a database layer. So there is a 3 tier applications, correct? जो एक standard form है एक applications का. Clear? So from UI, right, client tab to your right server to a database. That is the one thing. But if you just wanted to explore for POC purpose, you will have a simple Java application and you will connect to your database server. So like in database in your Postgres, we use a pgadmin as a client and we use a database as a server. So in place of pgadmin, you can use a Java application as a client application and you can connect to your database server. Clear? So JDBC is an interface which allows Java code to execute a SQL statement inside the relational database. So Java program, JDBC connectivity, data processing utilities, correct? So basically in JDBC, right, it is a nothing but JDBC ODBC bridge, right? Because how you will connect to your database server. So we have discussed that there is a multiple different protocol we use when one application is connecting to other application, correct? So HTTP protocol, right? Maybe SOAP REST APIs, we can use it. Messaging, we can use it, correct? Or one more way, people can use a share file system, right? That is, but it is not direct communication. ठीक है, बट यहाँ पर डेटाबेस के साथ में जब आपको कनेक्ट करना है, राइट, सो यू नीड दैट जेडीबीसी ओडीबीसी ब्रिज. क्लियर? राइट? सो इन द कनेक्टिविटी, basically is nothing but your JDBC ODBC bridge. It is basically we will get it through a driver. So this driver implementation, who will provide it? Who has a database, right? So Postgres has a database, or MySQL has a database. They will provide that driver implementation or driver class. How to connect to my particular database, like that. Clear? Then you can go with the JDBC, right? Open database connectivity is a Microsoft standard for mid 1990s. And it is an API that allows C and C++ program to execute a SQL inside database. Okay. So ODBC supported by many products here. Clear? So JDBC ODBC bridge allows Java code to use the C++ interface of ODBC. It means the JDBC can access many different database products. So from Java to C, C to database. Got my point? Right? Because directly Java API will be able to, is not basically is able to connect to, right? Inside, if you will see, you can also see that particularly implementation of the jar, connector jar. Okay. So JDBC ODBC bridge comes free with the J2SE. Now there is a many such different products. So there is a different driver class. This is they provided for with the Sun JDBC, right? Now pseudocode, right? As we have, there is a simple 4-5 steps we need to follow. Simple 5 steps हैं जो आपको database connectivity के लिए follow करना है. So first, whatever drivers, जैसे हमने पहले भी बात की है कि you need to any particular class which you want to provide it, right? So you already know it is from Java to C, C to like this. So you need to load explicitly this driver class. Are you getting my point? इसलिए we will use that class.forName, correct, to load that driver class. So if I am saying com.app. something driver name, means it is a fully packaged name, com.app, and the driver class name actually. Everybody got it? Then you will load the driver, specify name and the location of database being used, nothing but the URL, IP address, and the port. Then you will create a connection to a database. If the port is connect, if your URL is or yes IP is connect, and if you are providing a right user ID and password, then you will be able to connect to database, right? Then you will get the connection object. Otherwise, you will get that connection error. So any point of time, if you get the connection error, means there is some problem with the either you are basically in your connection string, maybe IP address, port, or whatever it is. So no, there's another thing is that each and every database is running on different port, right? So I guess this Postgres is running for 5432, right? I guess is SQL server is running 4033 or something like that. Correct. So Oracle is running on different port, right? So there is a standard ports are there for that. Clear? Then you need to be basically once you get that successful connection string, then you will execute a SQL queries. So whatever query you are putting into a PGAdmin, जो हम PGAdmin में query run करते हैं, right? Select star from something like that, create table or whatever it is, insert, update, delete, whatever. वो queries हम लोग statement object के साथ as a string pass करेंगे, ठीक है? And once we pass that string, then basically we have that execute query, correct? So execute query method, we use it from the statement side and we can do it, correct? So यदि update है, insert है, so it will not return anything. So there is a different query methods are there into a statement. So there are 3 types of statement, prepared statement, and callable statement. ठीक है? तो different methods are there. यदि आपको result get करना है, रोज आपने select query run की है, so basically it will return the result set. करेक्ट. और रिजल्ट सेट में आपको नंबर ऑफ रोज और ईच रोज में आपको नंबर ऑफ कॉलम्स मिल जाएंगे. एंड देन यू नीड टू इटरेट दिस रिजल्ट सेट जस्ट लाइक वी इटरेट टू अवर इटरेटर और एनी अदर कलेक्शन. ठीक है. सो यू विल गेट ऑल द रिजल्ट. क्लियर. सो फाइनली And then finally, we will close all the result set, statement and connection. So we have a close method. We will use that and we will close it. Everybody got it? Correct? So this is a simple 4-5 steps, nothing in it, right? So driver set up the class path for a driver library. So I already told you, right? You need to have a particularly provide that what we can say uh, class path, that jar into a class path. That jar you can download it. That is, I will show it to you. Class dot for name. So this driver string is also very specific for a particular database, right? That will not be going to change. For Oracle, it's a different string. For MySQL, it's a different. Postgres is a different list, right? Driver fully qualified driver class name with the package com.app.postgres driver, something like that, whatever it is. Okay. Then you will see connection driver manager.get connection, where you will pass URL, right? Correct. In the URL, you will have that like this. So there is a different format for a URL also. Okay. But at the end, you will see there is a particularly IP address port. At the end, you will specify the database, which database you want to connect, right? So the database you have created into your database server, the database name, that database name you need to specify here. Clear? Then you will specify a con.create statement. It will return the statement, and statement.execute update if you wanted to insert or update something. Or if you wanted to basically run some select query, then you can specify a select query, right? Execute query, and you can specify select star from, like this query is nothing but the string. So same string, you can pick it, put it into a double quotes as a string and pass it here. Clear? Simple 4 steps. Example, you can see class.forName like this, right? This is the point base, like, but as I told you, this URL will be different for different databases. Driver string will also be different for the different databases. Okay? Clear? So driver manager creates the connection, creates the statement will give the result set. Clear? So you will fire the SQL query using the driver, connect to a SQL database, then it will give the data, and this driver will give it to a result set. And then you can get it into any place and you can use it. Got it? Everybody? Simple. So for loading the driver manager is responsible for stabilizing the connection to a database through driver. So we will load that class.forName. So this class is also a class in Java, and this is a static method is a for name, right? To load that. Clear? So the name and location of the database is given in the URL. The URL you will use it, right? So JDBC, the common pool, right? Then machine holding the database, host name and like this. This is a database port, and this is nothing but part to a database of the machine. Basically nothing but the path, or you can say database name, actually. Correct? This is the basically a URL listing format. Clear? Statement object provide the workspace where the SQL queries can be created, executed, and results set collected here. So you will con.create statement and execute. Select star from authors. Same query, you can run it into an SQL and you can get it. And this result set you can proceed. Just like your rs.next, and you can use that get string. Clear? So result set object is similar to a table. Each row will have a columns. Clear? Cursor. So you will see, right? Moving a pointer to a nothing but as a cursor here. First row, in first row, first listing, first column, second column, third column, like this. Each row will have how many columns in your table, like this. Clear? So cursor operates like first, last, next, and previous. So just like we use that while loop in your, particularly in what we can call as in your iterator like this, we use that has next, right? Here we use that next. If there is any next, you can get that and then you can process it. So every time this while loop will execute, it will give a row, right? In the row, you will get the different columns. Clear? Right? So first row is 23 John, second row is 5 Marks, 17 Paul, 98 Peter. Clear? Like this. So rs.getString, either you can specify a column name if you wanted to specific column value you wanted to get it, or if you wanted to get that like this, get string 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. Right? So we have rs.getString, rs.getInt like this. So if that type of the value in the database is the integer, you can say getInt, or maybe if it is a text or varchar or like this, you can say rs.getString. Okay, when you are fetching it. Clear? So this is basically a, so many methods, get string, get date, get in, get object like this, you can use it. Now metadata is data about the data. Is the information about the database basically. Number of columns, types, and these things. Right? So you can also get the metadata. Get metadata also method is there which you can get it. Right? Actually, it is not used for internal purpose, but if you need sometimes the details, then you can use a metadata. Clear? Let's say if you need any column count, column type, or something like that, column name, so you can use the metadata here. Clear? Then also we have, there is a concept of connection pooling. So there is a, when as many as connection you create, na, it will basically create a load on the database server. Right? So like how you will say, you can think like there is a cashier into a bank. Up 50 people will go to cashier, I need money, right? So at certain level, this cashier can manage till let's say 10, 15, 20, 30 people. But sir, 50 people or 100 people, this cashier will get tensed. Right or wrong? So like this in database server is also facing some load, right? So what we are saying that we will create a connection in advance. We will create a connection in advance. So that we will fix up the number of connection and it will be reusable. So once I am done with my job, I will not close the connection. I will hand over to someone else. So you can use the connection like this, right? So reusable concept. So for that, we will maintain the pool, number of connections we created, right? So that every time you don't need to come to create a connection. Correct? So let's say if you are processing a salary or maybe you are updating a record, inserting a record for 10,000 people. So do you create that 10,000 connections? Database server will not allow when if you, every time you create a connection, it is a load on the database. So what we will say, we will create a pool of connections, 50, 100, whatever it is. So this connection will be reused every time. So first 50 is done, another 50 will come like this. Everybody got it? Yes. So this is the way you can maintain. So this connection pool concept is very important, right? As of now, initial level to connect to a database, आपको database connectivity के लिए connection pool पे focus नहीं करना है. But when you are comfortable with this, then you need to understand कि connection pool कैसे काम करता है. Correct. Applications में कैसे connection pool कैसे manage करते हैं, right? What is the important and requirement of a connection pool, right? So we will go to our Eclipse. So in this Eclipse, again, we will create a for everywhere. This is basically is required for everywhere. JDBC connectivity is the base. All these frameworks and everything they built on top of the JDBC connectivity only.
And how JVM detected this statement is particularly for SQL. Let's say select.
So this connection, na, this connection object.
First you have to call that. Right? First you have to
Yes, yes, yes. I will explain it. Here, JDBC connectivity main. So I'm not basically taking care of all these different methods and everything. We'll put it is simple into a main method. Okay. Now connect the jar and the connection string. So Postgres connector jar download. So I'm just putting it here. Download JDBC, right? Driver jar. Just put it into like this. You can click it here, right? And you can download that specific version of a jar here. For which version you are using, accordingly you can download it. Click on download, it will be downloaded it here. Okay. If you have any other older Java version, so they have also compatibility with the. So let's say if you'll click it here, download. So this jar is basically getting downloaded it here. Okay. So now it will be in your what we can say downloads folder. Okay. So I will in that scenario, what we will do, either you can copy this jar and keep it here in your particularly in project, or you can also give the external path also.
And apart from that, where is the apart from project folder where we get
Any other, so you can, I will explain it to you. Just 1 minute. So there are, you can give that class path, that jar from the multiple places. Right? Hmm? So whenever you wanted to use any particular jar, you wanted to give it, either you can put it into a project itself or you can put it somewhere outside. Right? So basically, yes. Now there is a two thing. Yes. Once you create it, put it into a project that is already there, you know that it is available, right? Into a class path, everything is. But the problem is when you have a 400 jars, 500 jars, to loading these jars and this application deployment is will be very heavy. So generally what we do, right? We keep these jars into as a separate as a shared library, and then we will give it to a path. So these things are these settings generally we do it into a, then when we create a deployment and things like that and externally like, okay. So this is what we can say. Now I will copy this jar, whatever we have downloaded it here. So I will MySQL jar. So you can see this is a MySQL jar is also I have, right? Postgres SQL jar, right? So based on our database version, we can use it, correct? Which jar you want it. So what I'm saying it, directly right click on my project here, and then I will do a paste. Okay. So you see this jar is coming here. Now I will right click here. Any jar you wanted to basically configure build path, right? So build path, you will see, correct? Here in the libraries, clear? Here you can specify into a class path here. So add external jar, if you will see, you can give any path from the external jar which is outside of your, what we can say, folder or something like that. Any jar in your local system. Clear? Yes. Not all about it's a Postgres, but any jar you wanted to give it to, which you wanted to use it. Now, if you wanted to give this jar, it is an internal jar. You need to give it into a class path so that the classes and the details will be getting loaded here. Apply and close. Right? Correct? So this way you have basically at least your environment is ready. Now what I will say, I will again go here and search for Postgres driver string. So as we discussed, correct, driver. So you can get that particularly a driver string directly. Okay. So for that, you need to import that java.sql.star. Okay. Now what I will say here, I will say string URL, right? Then string, right? Driver name. Okay. Then you will have a connection con. Right? Now, first thing we need the URL. So as of now, this database server is running on my local machine. Clear? Yes. Okay. So for that, this is a basically standard driver string. Correct? Connect to any database URL or something like that. So you can have a particularly JDBC Postgres colon something like that. Host and the port. So if you will just go and see this database connecting to a database, so particularly a representation of URL could be like this. Okay? Host, port, database name. Right? And then you will say driver manager dot get connection. Okay? Clear? Yes. So you can just take like this. This is a one of the type of URL you can see. Right? You can also specify JDBC host colon Postgres like this. So we will see. Okay? So there can be a multiple ways. So in my scenario, we have the database name is not a test, right? We have the database name is the e-governance app. E-governance app here. Clear? So JDBC Postgres localhost and e-governance app, right? Now we need to specify what is the driver string basically is there. Okay. So the driver string is for Postgres, right? You can get it driver string. Driver string, driver string. Com dot app dot something driver string. You see org.postgresql.driver. ठीक है? Now, what we will say here, enter. Class dot so Eclipse is going a little bit slow on this. You see for name method. So this driver name is basically now it is right now you know that right it is a type of which is type of exception it is basically it is a class not found exception. So it is explicitly you need to either surround with the catch or maybe you need to handle with the try catch. So it is a checked exception. Clear? Now here connection. So we already have this connection here. We have specified as a null or maybe you can just say con is equal to dot. You see get connection. So there is a different methods are there URL, user ID and password. Right? URL like this. Okay. So this method we will use it. Attempts to stabilize the connection to give a database URL and driver manager attempts to select the appropriate driver for a setup registered of a JDBC driver. And then user ID and password, whatever user ID and password we have it. So URL I'm giving it here. The master password is username is Postgres. And I guess my password is admin. Okay. Clear? Now what it is saying here? It is basically also saying surround with the try catch or maybe you can. So it is also throwing some different exceptions. So we have added one more try. You can add it into a one single try, multiple catch. That is also you can do it. Correct? So we'll remove it. Right? We will remove this one also. Right? And I will catch directly a exception here. Right? So if you wanted to catch multiple catch blocks, you can do and you can provide it. Clear? If that this line 14 number 14 will be execute means this details whatever we have provided it's a correct. So simple 2-3 line of code we have written it here actually. So there is a some error. So it is saying e-governance app is doesn't exist, right? It is coming into some other language here. Spanish here. So e-governance.
A is capital.
A is capital. In our database, right? So this is capital. ठीक है? No, so that we can understand it, right? If you will not having the database name correct, then also you will get this database name is not correct or something like that. So different types of errors, what is we are getting it right? This is basically we need to understand it. Now you see there is a no such error, means this connection is successful. Clear? So once it is done, you can write it as a connection is successful. So you got that connection object. Then con dot create statement. ठीक है? Sending the SQL statement to the database, right? Here it will return that statement. STMT. Clear? Then STMT dot. You see there is a many such methods are there. Execute. You can pass the SQL query, right? Column names like that. So there is a many such execute batch, execute query, execute update. Number of rows updated, maybe insert, maybe update, delete like this. So let's say execute query. Okay. So here we will say the query name. Query. So query is nothing but whatever query you are just putting it, right? String query is equal to string. But make sure whatever query you are writing it, that has to be into a properly executed tested. So select star from doctor. So you see there is a also we have here, right? This is our database, correct? In this database you have in a schema. In schema you will have a doctor table. Clear? Here you can also run that first. Select star from doctor. Clear? So when you say select star from doctor, see number of rows. Right? Doctor ID, doctor email, doctor number, hospital ID, doctor name, and doctor strike specialization. Clear? So these details we wanted to fetch it. So what is happening here? Now this execute query is returning what? Result set. RS. Clear? Then we will check if RS is not equal to null. Clear? Then we will iterate it so that we will get all the values. So RS dot next. Okay. So this loop will execute it. If till that time there is a next row, it will, and it will always going to forward. You cannot go backtrack like a traitor. Okay. So int doctor ID, right? Here is rs dot get. Okay. String doctor. What is the second column we have? Is for doctor email, doctor number. rs dot get string to, then string rs dot get 3. Then what is the fourth column? We have hospital ID, doctor name. Clear? Fourth. Then rs dot fifth, then string doctor specialization, rs dot get string sixth. Okay. Now we will print it also. So system dot out dot println. So that is also key. I'm putting into this while loop, right? Doctor ID plus I will give some space plus doctor email doctor number. And all other details, maybe we can print it like this, whatever you want it. Okay. Plus simple. So there is a nothing to do here, right? You are just getting based on this, right? So first row you will get it, right, into result set, and then you will get all the columns. Everybody got it, right? Execute Java application. You see this data, correct? So there are two rows is there. So like this, there is a two rows are there. Clear? If I will change the query here, where doctor ID is equal to 1, right? So if there is a syntax problem into SQL, it will give some syntax, it will give some error, right? If it is no error, then it will give a one row. Right or wrong? So one row is coming. Clear? Now you wanted to go ahead with, let's say, for after this, once you connection is executed, multiple queries you can execute it. Clear? Now you can also say statement. So now we have done this, right? While loop and process and everything. Correct? Now what we are saying again, this if, okay. So I'm trying to insert also. So I will copy this query here, right? Insert query. Okay. So here, how you write it? Insert into doctor values. So we have already a 3. It's an email. So inside the double quote, you can use a single quote. Okay. Right? Adam Doctor email is a Adam. If you can have a much better name, you can use it. This is his number. Okay. Then you will have hospital ID, let's say is for 2. So make sure that hospital ID is already there because we have given as a reference key. If it is not, then not. Okay. Then you will have a doctor name, Adam J. Okay. Then specialization is orthopedic. Cardio. Just taking as then you can just say. Right. So now we wanted to insert. So how we will do it? Statement dot execute update. Here what we will say? Right. Clear? So total number of rows affected here. So you can say here plus number. ठीक है? Java application. Now so you see number one row inserted here. Clear? If you will again try to insert the same query, if I will run again, do you see some error? Because if you have a primary key doctor ID and if you will try to insert same query and again run from here, you will get that constant violation, right? So we should not run like this. Clear? So as of now, if you will just see, I will comment out this one. Execute.
We can add a condition.
So you see how many rows are already inserted here. ठीक है? So okay. Why it is giving? Because here we have given as a doctor ID is a 1. So I am removing this where condition. ठीक है? Java application. You see 3 rows. Clear? Now can I will comment out this one and I will delete here. Right? Before delete, we will use the update. Right? Update table right? Set doctor name right is equal to Alice, where doctor ID is 3. Clear? Right? And I will put it here. Update query. And I will take this statement before we will fetch it here. So we will write here. So whatever row we have previously inserted, I am updating the name of the doctor as Alice here. Okay. So till now we have seen insert and get. Now again we see, you see the Alice here. Now if you wanted to delete, so now we will see the delete. Okay. Right? Correct. And I will put it as a delete. So only how many methods you need to keep in mind? Execute query and execute update. As of now, simple. 2 methods, and you need to use that RS, right? Java application. You see, row is deleted. Can you also, in this, you don't need every time with all these column need to be iterated like this. You can also say you need only for some certain columns only, right? And let's say doctor email. Not all the columns if you need it. So what you will say, I will remove all this. So you can specify exactly the column name which you have into a database. Are you getting my point? Hello guys. Yes. Right? Simple and easy. Doctor email plus doctor name. Clear? Java application. So you see, correct? You got only a 2 rows or 2 particularly columns. If you need only specific, let's sometimes you will have 100 columns, 50, 60 columns. You don't need each and everything, right? And you can also say only for selected columns. So you can say only doctor name. If you will say rather than select star from here, right? And select name is here. So only 2 column will be getting selected, right? Yes or no? So either you can still write like this. Or you can also say, because only 2 columns will be getting selected here. 1 and 2. ठीक है? Save. Java application. Right? Like this also you can write it. Everybody. Yes. Now, after this try and catch, you need to close all this finally. Because in any situation, you wanted to basically a con dot You see, close. Now you see, can you use a try catch inside a finally? Right? Because this method is also throwing a some exceptions. So I will write that either you can use a throws or maybe you can use a try catch inside a finally also. Right? In the same way, you need to close that result set and the statement also. Right? But this statement object we are not creating here. So I will also keep it this outside the try. Here. So it is removed like this. Right? So what you will say here, stmt.close. Like this, you can close that other also. Right? Result set as well. So we have seen insert, we have seen get, we have seen update, we have, so all CRUD is basically is already done. Right? So this way you can use it. Now there is also concept for a prepared statement. Right? So prepared statement also we will see, but at least you can understand that how you can write that. Now, can we have here a port also 5432?
Yes.
Because it's running on localhost. So if we will use that port also, so we have seen the different pattern of URL. Yes or no?
Yes.
So now it is working, right? Clear? So we have seen how you need to handle the exceptions, right? And then how you will create a simple queries, right? And then how you will execute it, right?